Tim Wilson from the Maxim Institute. Kia ora, welcome to the show.
Kia ora, Andrew, and I would submit that we advise a very measured consumption of chippies and Snickers bars. It's not a staple. It's a treat, Andrew.
It's a sometimes food, as I learnt on Sesame Street. Well,
yes,
exactly. Although for some people, they're not sure where the next Snickers bar is coming from, given the price of groceries and. This is more than just a perception. This is more than just people thinking, oh, the prices of my groceries seems to be going up. This is measurable. It's costing us a lot more than it did this time last year, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And the proposed changes are because we've got a market that's not functioning well.
Yeah.
It's a duopoly. So essentially, Woolworths and Foodstuffs, they have 82% of the market in Auckland, 88% outside of Auckland, and the issue is what's interesting with what the government's proposing is they want to make it easier for competitors to build supermarkets. Fun fact about the RMA is the byproduct of the RMA is that if you want to build a supermarket, you have to assess that you have to prove that you won't take demand away from the currently existing supermarkets.
How did that end up in the Act? That seems ridiculous.
Look, I'm not saying it's not actually specific, but that's the byproduct of the way that the Act is configured.
Goodness.
So yeah, I mean, our view is that that competition will bring down prices because that's the way markets work.
I'll continue the supermarket analogy if I can here. It seems to me it's a little bit like, but you know what? If I recycle my plastic bags, if I bring my own bags to the supermarket and I get my empty bread bags and I put them in the little thing by the door, then maybe, just maybe, I'll do something about climate change. Well, it's a very small amount. It's a drop in the bucket, and actually it's not going to make any difference anytime soon. We're talking about, yes, more competition, and even my schoolboy economics says that should bring prices down eventually, but it's going to take quite a while for new players to enter the market, for them to get planning approval to build new supermarkets. This is a long-term solution for an immediate problem, perhaps.
Yeah, and look, I guess what are we looking at? It's the least bad of all solutions, and I know that's terrible grammar. But it's if we think about, say, sledgehammering the duopoly. Okay, we smash up the duopoly. Then in the short term, we may create because there are chains of supply, etc. We'll shatter all that, so the prices may go up in the short term. The other alternative, which has been suggested by Zoran Mamdani, I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's the Democrat mayoral candidate in New York City. Where I used to live, and he suggested city-run grocery stores. So it's I know we'll get the government in to just run this, and that'll be sweet. The problem is we're already complaining about a duopoly, and now someone's proposing a monopoly. That doesn't work well. So it's like it's not going to solve the issue now. Possibly 5 years, prices will be down. You're like, oh my goodness, I don't know how I can cope with that. I do have a solution for those listeners of yours who are in Auckland. Are you familiar with the Taiping chain of supermarkets?
Oh yeah, certainly.
Yeah. So these are there are 9 of them in Auckland, and these are Asian supermarkets where you can buy non-Asian food as well. But apparently they're pretty good for fruit and veggies. So there you go. We just want to help here at Maxim.
That's very useful. I mean, there's a couple of problems here though. Yes, there's the price of the goods in the supermarket, and okay, you've got a couple of big supermarket chains that are making significant profits whilst everybody else is struggling to buy Snickers bars. Back to that. But there's also, I suppose, how inflation has literally stolen our buying power in the last wee while. Yes, there's problems structurally with the market, but there's also problems with whether we can afford to buy groceries as well as pay rent and all of those other things, right?
Sure, and I would take that up with Grant Robertson and Adrian Orr, but that's another story. I think what's interesting too is we've got a wider issue here, and this is not simply a supply of food vendors issue.
Yep.
There's one survey that OECD average of food prices, New Zealand's 3% higher. You think, oh, that's not too bad.
Yeah.
But then you think, but for anyone who goes across the Tasman, they often remark on how much cheaper things are in Australia. Well, it's a bigger market, but also wages in Australia are 1/4 higher, and even significantly higher for on other measures. So we also have a wage issue here, which is based perhaps on a productivity issue, which gets back to the power issue and our advocation for the discussion of nuclear power. But that's another discussion as well.
You mentioned the size of our economy, and that's perhaps one of the questions here. It's one thing to say, hey, we're going to deregulate, we're going to bring in more competition, but the market is only so big. There's only so much room for so many players in the market, and actually part of the reason that we've got a duopoly is a lot of the smaller ones needed to merge together to have the economies of scale to break even. Now, they're certainly doing more than breaking even at the moment. Do you think there's room in the market for another player, or is it just saying, hey, we're a smaller country than Australia, we're certainly smaller than North America, there's only so much room in the inn?
Yeah, well, if you look at looking at Taiping, for example, they've been around for 40 years and they function pretty well. So I would submit that if you're able to carve off a spot in the market, there will always be the ability to compete. And so I think that, I hear what you're saying, and it may be more of an issue in regional New Zealand, but in a place like Auckland, the main centres, Auckland, Wellington, Christchurch, Dunedin, I would hazard a guess that if we can remove those RMA, constrictions, well, let's open it up and let's see how this plays out. But at least let's attempt to do something, not do nothing.
Yeah. Hey, perhaps not within the next electoral cycle or the one after that, but to be seen to be doing something about what is a significant problem affecting many. Tim, very much appreciate the work that you guys do at the Maxim Institute. Of course, maxim.org.nz for more information, robust discussions on important issues. Thanks so much for joining us again.
Always a pleasure, Andrew. Take care.
Hey, thanks very much for joining us in the Rhema studio. Thanks very much for watching the interview. It's kind of nice to have an audience, actually. And if you did like what you watched, then do give us a like, do give us the thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more interviews like that one, or perhaps even better, subscribe and those interviews will come straight to you. Don't forget to turn on your notifications, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.